As we continue our lessons on diagramming sentences, we need to know something about nouns. So you won't learn too much about diagramming specifically in this lesson, but you'll learn something about how to identify nouns and what to watch out for. Now, a noun is usually defined as a person, a place, or a thing. And sometimes people also add an idea or a quality. So person, place, thing, or idea. Now, let's give a few examples to make this a little bit more concrete. So for person, for instance, we could say Bob, we could say janitor, and the list goes on. For place, we could say London, we could say courtyard. For thing, we could say ball. There we go. Or napkin, let's say. And for idea or quality, we could say something like Marxism, or we could say cowardice. And obviously, these are just a few examples. There are many, many nouns in the English language. Another thing that we can add here, perhaps, is actions. So actions can also be nouns. Obviously, most of the time they're verbs. But sometimes there are some words that look like verbs but can actually be a noun. So if we say, for instance, loving, okay, so loving, then in some cases, when it doesn't have a helping verb or it's not used as a verb, loving can be a noun. If you think of something like tennis, that seems like an action, a sport, but it is also a noun. Okay, so a few things to watch out for then. Obviously, as we go on with diagramming sentences, you'll see these things in action, and then it's much easier to see what each word is doing. Because in grammar, a lot depends on context. Now, another thing we can add here is that some of these nouns are capitalized, as you can see here, and some are not. So Marxism, London, Bob. Now, Marxism is mostly capitalized here because it's derived from a name, right? So Marx. But if we look at these other two, Bob and London, these are what we call proper nouns. So proper nouns. And a proper noun is a specific person, place, thing, idea, or action. Whereas a common noun, so common noun, there we go, is a general person, place, thing, idea, action, and so on. So a proper noun is always capitalized, a common noun is typically not. Another distinction that we can add here is between singular nouns and plural nouns, right? And in English, most of the time, we just add an S to the end of a word to make the plural. So we could say napkins or balls or something like that. There are obviously some nouns that don't quite function this way. If you think, for instance, of goose, goose in the plural becomes geese. So that one is a little bit different, and there are many other exceptions as well. And then finally, there are some nouns that don't have a plural at all, or most of the time they don't, and we refer to these as uncountable nouns. Okay, so uncountable. And an example might be something like gold. We don't say golds, for instance. Or luck. We just don't tend to count these things, and as a result, there's not always a plural. All right, that gives you a little bit of a sense of what nouns are and how to identify them. There are many functions for nouns in the sentence. So far, we've seen that they often serve as a subject, but we'll see pretty soon that they can also be an object and do lots of other things as well.